So what brought you to Canada?
Actually, my parents sent me over to Canada for further education, so I study in CNC and UMBC.
And why did you choose Prince George?
In Prince George, back then, I have a really small Chinese community, and I think it's a really good way for me to dive in and learn the different culture.
So you had to set aside from everybody else because there wasn't people to blend in with?
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Okay. And so were you happy when you came to Canada to migrate here?
I'm happy now. I actually involved in lots of community activities and learned a lot of sports, and I enjoy the winter sports specifically. That's make me happier in winter. Yeah, but when I first came over here, I wasn't um, that happy.
No? How did you feel when you first arrived in Canada?
For first couple months, that was pretty good. It was in September. The weather was really good, and after first frost, all the trees changed colors. It was really, really, really beautiful. Then after first snowfall, it was really exciting, and we actually made snowman. I came from southern part of China. We don't really get a lot of snow in the city I came from, so it was really exciting. But after 6 months of snow, I was getting a little bit tired of winter.
Did you feel like gloomy and sad at all?
Yes, yes and no. When I came here, it's all by myself, right? I don't really get a service I get in China, and I have to deal with all the problems myself. Lonely and scared period, but after a while, getting to know lots of people here and involved in the community
You just
activities.
adapted it to it?
Yeah, yeah.
What challenges did you face when you first came here then?
There are a lot of challenges. First, the language. It's really hard for me to communicate with other people when I don't really speak English at that moment. And also, I don't get the same service as we get in China, so I had to learn everything myself. That's a big challenge. I have to do everything. And without my parents' support, I had to deal with everything. Yeah, basically, those are all the challenges.
So dealing with things on your own then?
Yeah.
So how did you view nature when you first came here? Did you find it like hostile or just indifferent?
Yeah, it's very, very different, especially in winter. Before I skied, actually I used to stay at home, and when I go to school, I take bus, right? But sometimes it's minus 20 outside, and the bus got canceled, and it wasn't very pleasant.
No, it was probably pretty cold from what you were used to.
Yeah, it is.
And did you have to like learn any different kind of skills when you moved here?
Yes, there are a lot of new things I learned in Canada. First is cooking, right? Nobody cook for me anymore, and there's no 24 hours delivery. So yeah, I have to start cook for my own, and I have to start shop for groceries myself, and then driving is the second part. I have to learn how to drive to get around. That's make my life a lot easier after I got my driver's license.
I bet.
Yeah.
Did you have to like learn how to use any certain kind of tools or anything?
Yeah, here and there, and started with YouTube everything, and start getting the tools to fix up things, and working on my car a little bit. And yeah, and that's fun, and learn a lot too.
That's good. Did you find that when you moved to Canada, your life changed pretty dramatically?
Yeah, it's quite a big change. I come from a city which have 32 million population, and come here, it's all of a sudden become 80,000. It's a huge change, and everywhere is wide open, lots of wildlife here, and lots of outdoor activities, and mm, which is really really good, and but at the same time you don't get the same service level you enjoyed back in my hometown. So it's have to deal with all the problem myself. So it's huge change. And back home, if I have any problems, or I always have my parents to back me up. But here, I have to make a really good plan. Otherwise, I would be really hooked.
Yes, that's for sure. Did you feel like over the little bit, did you feel that your identity changed when you moved here at all?
Not right away. Actually, after I moved over here, and China is still moving forward, and in Canada, I haven't catch up with
With
the
our
speed.
culture?
Yeah, that's right. And after first time I go back to China, I was at where I left to China, and China moved on. So I felt a gap. I feel different. And when I come back Canada, and I haven't catch up with the Canadian culture, and I feel there's a gap there too. So
You felt like you just didn't know where you were?
yeah, it's a very interesting feeling. Yeah, I kind of lost identity. I don't know where I belong.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
Canada.
Okay, well, thank you, Joe.
yeah, no problem. Yeah.
What's with Canada? We got great big cities, but a lot of trees and rocks. Yeah, the winter's cold here. Wear 2 pairs of socks. There's half the world's fresh water to paddle your canoe or camp along the shoreline. It's what we like to do in Canada. Ooh, I'm living in Canada. Float my boat in Canada.
Good to go?
It's on. Yeah.
Okay, Joe. Okay,
Hey.
so what brought you to Canada at first?
Sorry, it's like how you started that. I didn't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. Restart that and cut.
Director Chanel over there. Okay, ready? What's
In
our
Canada, center ice in Canada, coming to you coast to coast. He shoots, he scores in Canada. Oh, I'm a player in Canada.